afternoon.
Thank you so much for coming out today on this cold day. It's the coldest day that we've had that we've held this luncheon before. So thank you for braving the brutal cold and making your way over here to the Township of Lyons. It's wonderful to see such a great gathering of municipal leaders, public works professionals, and engaged community members all coming together to tackle one of our most critical challenges facing our communities: building resilient infrastructure and improving stormwater management. We all know that success of these projects depends on strong partnerships at every level of government. That's why we are especially honored to have Congressman Sean Casten with us today to share insights on federal policies that seem to be rapidly changing and could impact all of our local efforts. Following Congressman Casten's remarks, we'll hear from an incredible lineup of experts. We have the Illinois Department of Transportation and the Cook County Department of Transportation both here. They're both leading and will discuss vital infrastructure initiatives. Then we will hear from Vice President Teresa Flynn of the Metropolitan Water and Reclamation District and her engineering team. They're going to share their expertise on stormwater solutions and give us an update on local projects. We hope that today will spark some productive conversations, fresh ideas, and new connections that will help us all move our projects forward. Thank you so much for being here, and let's get started.
Thank you. Try to stand in front of you on the slides. Number one, I'm just truly grateful that you guys do this. We have so many questions that come to our office. I think darn near we can do all of our community funding projects on water because there's always so many requests to do it, and so often there's just no coordination. I'm just so grateful that you guys organize this, to coordinate between the communities, to try to make sure that we're providing some holistic sense. Number one, because it's important for our constituents. Number two, because candidly it helps our office understand what we should be prioritizing and how things fit together with everybody on the same page. So thank you for doing this, and I'm always here more to learn than to speak. Normally, this would be the point where I would talk to you about all the community projects that we funded. I see Heidi and others here who were going to sort of help with every part of the water system, upstream, downstream, upcoming funding bills, which of course would tie into that. To do that would be sort of naive right now, because we are getting more phone calls in our office on any topic than we have ever received before, trying to understand what happens if the United States government is not going to obey the laws of the United States. I don't say that as a joke, that is actually the situation that we find ourselves in. If you've watched Schoolhouse Rock, you understand the problem. Congress writes laws, the executive branch carries out those laws. Congress has the power of the purse. Once we approve programs, we fund them. I am not aware in my own reading of history at any point in time with the possible era of the Jim Crow era where we have had a federal government that has said, I'm not going to enforce the laws of the United States and I'm going to get you to come back and stop them. We as members of Congress generally don't have standing in litigation to bring suit to enforce laws. If the Department of Justice is not enforcing the laws, we're depending on the courts. When this administration came in, we immediately, because we had Project 2025, started working with outside legal groups to prepare briefs so that if they do the things in Project 2025, we've got a legal strategy up there. The early successes in the courts substantially resulted from the fact that those briefs were ready to go and were unambiguous. There's not really any question about whether Congress has the power to purse, but they're going to test that. What we are trying to do right now is to make sure that anybody who is the recipient of federal funding or depends on federal enforcement of law and you are not receiving that funding or the law is not being enforced, please contact our office or your member's office and try to go through, and we want to at least make sure that we can connect you to where those resources are so that, if you want to participate in that litigation, you can do it. You will have standing if you don't. But try to get secure. As an example of one of the crazy things that's going on, we were recently talking to a fairly large nonprofit who said that they are the recipient of $16 million a year in federal grants, which they outsource to subcontractors for deployment. Their lawyers are telling them that Nobody ever wrote a force majeure clause to say that you can get out of your contract if the United States government doesn't obey the law. And so they're now trying to figure out if they're in a breach of contract situation, if they don't pay money that they do not have to subcontractors. Like this is third world kind of stuff, right? It's insane. But if you have issues, please let us know. We will connect you to those legal resources where they're out there. Where we can, we're taking an effort with a number of our colleagues to essentially have, I hate to just characterize this as a letter writing campaign, but to get letters to administrators and staffers saying your actions on date such and such with respect to this are in clear violation of this statute. The penalties for violating this statute include blankety blankety blank up to jail time. Maybe scare them into doing the right thing. At the very least, create a prosecutorial record so that we can address this on the backside. I wish we didn't have to do it, but that's sort of where we are right now. And my last just general request for everybody is what they're doing is illegal, what they're doing is unconstitutional. They are counting on everybody staying silent out of fear, because anybody who has something to lose is nervous that if I stand up right now, might they cut off another grant? Might they cut off another contract? Maybe the information that they hacked out of the Treasury Department can be weaponized against me. I get it. And I say I get it as somebody who has a lot more security in my house than I used to. But if everybody who's afraid of losing something doesn't stand up, then we're going to depend on someone who has nothing to lose to stand up. And so just the more we can, try to defend the law, defend your ethics, defend the people who we work with, and stand up so that our collective courage becomes contagious. Because we're going to need it right now to say, but I don't mean to be so heavy. I'd love to be talking about nothing but water management right now. But that is where the federal government is sitting right now. As I said a moment ago, the world is on fire, and I work with arsonists. On that happy note, thank you for having me, and I'm here to listen.
Thank you very much, Congressman. Good morning and welcome. My name is Chris Getty. I'm the supervisor of Lyons Township. I welcome you here to the Township Hall. I know your respective districts, municipalities, jurisdictions fall within our boundaries, which start at Harlem Avenue, go all the way to County Line Road, from roughly Ogden Avenue to 87th Street. We cover 17 different municipalities as well as large unincorporated areas. And stormwater flooding is a concern throughout the geographic region, whether you're by the Salt Creek, by Flag Creek, by the Des Plaines River, or just stormwater coming up from the sewer. You are susceptible to flooding. And this meeting, this conference that we've called on some time ago, I think this is our third or fourth one that we've done, has certainly grown. And we've grown our presenters here. The one mainstay that we've had year after year who not only provides us funding, insight, and support is the Water Reclamation District, Greater Chicago, who does a great job. We're going to hear from them today. We also have a couple new presenters that are here for the first time. I'm happy to welcome up two individuals that represent the Cook County Department of Transportation and Highway. The first is Adam James, which is the manager of drainage, utilities, and Sanjay Jasi, am I saying that correct, sir? Yeah. Okay, and senior civil engineering project manager. You gentlemen would like to come up and present. I'll give you a nice warm welcome. Cook County.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for those introductions. Once again, my name is Sanjay Joshi. I'm with the Cook County Department of Transportation and Highways. I manage our traffic studies division, as well as I'm a project manager on several of our large phase one or preliminary engineering studies that we are undertaking. Primarily, the one that I'm going to talk about today is Plainfield Road, which is encompasses a large section of Lyons Township. I hand it over to Adam.
Thank you again, Adam James, Drainage Utilities Manager with Cook County Department of Transportation and Highways. I I work on oversee phase 1 studies, phase 2 studies, and occasionally construction questions and maintenance issues related to stormwater management, utilities engagement at a high level, and environmental matters.
Thank you. All right. The first slide, I wanted to introduce you to the project corridor. The project runs from County Line Road to the west, is our western boundary until East Avenue. It's approximately 3.5 mile section within Lyons Township. You'll see the municipalities that we have been working with throughout the project. Burr Ridge Countryside, Indian Head Park, LaGrange, McCook, Western Springs, and Lyons Township as well. There are several IDOT intersections, so we've been coordinating extensively with IDOT throughout the project. Willow Springs Road, 55th Street, LaGrange Road, and East Avenue are all IDOT intersections. This slide introduces you to the study goals for the project. The purpose of this project is to address existing roadway and drainage infrastructure deficiencies, enhance pedestrian bicycle accommodations, and improve safety and operational mobility for all users along Plainfield Road. Our pavement is in poor condition and resurfacing has been performed throughout the past 60+ years, but the underlying core of the pavement needs to be replaced to correct issues. Additionally, there's drainage deficiencies along the corridor with documented flooding, as well as we received a lot of feedback throughout the project regarding some of the drainage issues along the corridor. Additionally, through stakeholder involvement and public outreach, there have been gaps. There's gaps in existing sidewalks throughout the corridor and a lack of east-west and north-south continuity for bicycle facilities. So that has been identified as a need to improve bicycle and pedestrian accommodations throughout the corridor and provide a link to existing and planned facilities throughout the area. This first slide shows one of the typical sections that currently exist. This is at the western termini at County Line Road. In this area, we have 5 12-foot lanes with an existing turn lane at the intersection and sporadic sidewalk in this area. It's not continuous. There's also curb and gutter that runs through this area. As we head further to the east, the section between Shady Lane to Willow Springs Road has one 12-foot lane in each direction as well as a 12-foot center directional turn lane. There's variable width shoulders. Sometimes they're very undefined and not usable. There's also an open drainage system with shallow swales or roadside ditches. There is curb and gutter in certain areas in this section on one or both sides of the roadway, and sidewalk runs intermittently. This section encompasses most of the existing project corridor. The section from Willow Springs Road to East Avenue consists of one 12-foot through lane in each direction, variable width shoulders on both sides of the roadway with open drainage via shallow swales or roadside ditches. Existing curb and gutter is present on one or both sides in small segments, but not, majority of it is just shoulder. And sidewalk is also very intermittent. There's a lot of gaps in the corridor. So what we're planning to do is create a consistent cross-section through majority of the corridor. The section at County Line Road will remain as existing, other than the inclusion of sidewalks and shared use paths. But for the rest of the corridor, we'll be including 3 11-foot lanes, including a center bi-directional turn lane. We'll be adding curb and gutter. We'll also be making improvements at each signalized intersection to accommodate 2050 traffic volumes. Modernize traffic signals, make them ADA compliant, and a better facility for all users. Sidewalk will be provided along the north side throughout the whole corridor, and we're planning a shared use path for bicyclists and pedestrians along the south side all the way from County Line to East Avenue. We'll also be providing some locations where pedestrians can cross at mid-block locations other than at the signalized intersections. Drainage improvements, which Adam will talk more about, include closed drainage system with new storm sewers. And I wanted to point out that there is a bridge over the I-294 tollway, which was recently constructed through coordination with the county, so we'll be tying into that improvement. The only thing that we'll be doing at the bridge will be retaining wall expansion to accommodate the path and the sidewalks. So I'm gonna switch it over to Adam, who's gonna talk about some drainage portions of the project.
Thanks, Sanjay. Yeah, one thing about that bridge over 294 too, you may notice that there's provisions for a side use path or bike path on one side of the bridge and a sidewalk on the other. So that was, there's a lot of design effort and coordination put in by our department with the Illinois Tollway to make sure that project was forward compatible with the community should they extend those facilities in the future. Okay, so the Plainfield Road corridor spans two watersheds. Basically, Willow Springs Road is kind of the divide. So everything east of there flows to McCook Ditch or Summit Conduit, and everything west of there flows to Flag Creek. As Sanjay mentioned, there will be a new closed drainage system out there, so there'll be curb and gutter and storm sewer throughout the corridor. So that'll improve the drainage in parkways and make them easier to maintain as well. Detention will be provided to mitigate stormwater impacts from the project. And in advance of the project, we've coordinated with IDOT to have a portion of the storm sewer that they're installing as part of their 55th Street at the Grange Road project upsize. MWRD did something similar, a partnership with IDOT to oversize some of the sewers to the east of that location. So we'll have a forward compatible, continuous, enlarged storm sewer running from Plainfield Road to East Avenue.
Next, I'm going to talk about our public involvement process a little bit in our schedules for this project. We initiated the project back in 2020, which included a corridor advisory committee made up of stakeholders and municipalities throughout the corridor. We've been engaged with them throughout the onset of the project, starting with our first meeting back in September of 2020, and we had another meeting in March of 2021. And we anticipate holding one more meeting with our corridor advisory committee in spring of this year as we're completing the study. One-on-one meetings will have been held with all the municipalities, which many of you are here today, that we've been coordinating with. We'll also be talking one-on-one with some of the properties that there will be impacts that are worthy of discussions with them one-on-one. As far as public meetings, we've had our first public meeting back in 2021 during the COVID times. It was a virtual meeting. We are going to have an in-person meeting this summer where we'll be presenting our proposed improvements to everyone along the corridor. And then we're anticipating design approval in fall of 2025. I know everyone's interested in when this is going to get constructed. So our next step will be the phase 2 design. We've decided that it's a 3.5-mile project, which is a rather large project to undertake in one contract. So we've decided to split it up into two. We'll be working on our first contract, which will go from west of Willow Springs Road to East Avenue, and the second contract runs from County Line to west of Willow Springs Road. That kind of coincides with the drainage, how drainage is working, as Adam explained. We felt that we could get some of the benefits of IDOT's 55th Street improvements initially by going with that portion, as well as many of the larger intersections with IDOT are along the eastern side of the project. So that was kind of based our decision to pursue with contract 1. We do have funding for the design, which is anticipated to take 2 years for contract 1 After we secure funding for design for the second contract, we hope to begin that in 2028 through 2029. And construction will follow. We're anticipating 2 years of construction for each contract. So starting with contract 1 in 28, contract 2 in 2030. And hopefully, obviously pending funding availability and project readiness, which we hope to go after federal funding and other funding sources for both of these corridors or contracts. So thank you. And I just wanted to point out, the beginning of the slide had it. We have a project website. It's called improveplainfieldroad.org. If you want to get some more information, a lot of the info that you see here is on there or will be added there later as we proceed with more meetings. So I'm going to hand it over to Adam to talk about some other initiatives.
Thank you, Sanjay. Okay, most of you are probably familiar with this, but just in case you're not, I want to provide a little bit of background. So the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, was a federal law that was signed into law in 2021. Cook County was the recipient of a little over $1 billion in state and local fiscal recovery funds. The county worked to develop 74 impactful and transformative programs that allowed us to invest those funds into the communities, residents, and businesses throughout the county. One such program is our $20 million Stormwater Management Project Implementation Program. And with the assistance of MWRD, we're implementing a lot of those projects. Another program, sorry, oh, I think it's on there. Sorry, we had an update to the slides. You can go back up. Okay, sorry. One other program that our department is leading under ARPA is the Invest in Cook Expansion Program. So if you're familiar with our Invest in Cook program, that's funded by motor fuel tax funds. So there are restrictions on what can be done with those funds. The Invest in Cook Expansion was a one-time opportunity to do a little bit broader suite of infrastructure projects. So that was another program that we developed to utilize the ARPA funding for. Okay, also just wanted to take the opportunity to mention that we're accepting applications now through March 21st for our Invest in Cook program, as well as our Community Development Block Grant and Emergency Solutions Grant. So Invest in Cook is ran by the Department of Transportation Highways, our department. The other two are ran by the Planning and Development, which is part of our Economic Development Bureau. So you can find more information on both of those programs on our respective web pages. Okay, and then lastly, just on behalf of Cook County President Tony Preckwinkle and the Board of Commissioners, I see Commissioner Aguilar is here today. We'd like to say thank you to Lyons Township for the opportunity to speak here. We'd like to thank MWRD for all the partnerships that we have with them, the municipalities, IDOT, and Lyons Township as well for partnerships. So thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I know I have some questions, but we are going to wait until the end. We've got 5 different presenters. If you have a question, please write it down. We'll open it up for discussion and questions as we wrap everything up. The next speaker is from the Illinois Department of Transportation. That is, again with the names, I'm going to make sure I try to say them correctly. Issam Rehan. Okay, says yes? Close enough. Close enough, close enough. Good morning and welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. And thank you for having me here. First, I would like to start a little of the program, or let me try to introduce myself. My name is Issam Rayyan, and I've been with the Illinois Department of Transportation for this is my 3rd year here. And I've been through all 3 phases, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Right now, I am the project implementation engineer for the Region 1. So I oversee bureaus of construction, materials, local roads, and EEO sections for Region 1. So as the slide shows, this is our program for the multi-year program, which is a 6-year program. It's a total of $29.65 billion. And the distribution of this amount, the state share is about 23 billions, and the locals will get 6.65 billions. It's a very tough formula where the way they distribute the whole funding in Springfield, but at the end we get like what we see right now, the current MYP identifies projects that will take advantage of new federal funding for roads, bridges, bicycles, sidewalks, multi-use paths, and also there is other modes such as transit, rail, waterway, aeronautics projects. Those they go through the fiscal year 25-30 proposed multi-modal improvement program. Region 1, as you're all aware, includes all 6 counties, the color counties called, and in the color counties we total of 2,711 miles of highways, 1,455 bridges, 10,000 plus lane miles, and with some calculations, this adds up to 57 million miles of travel daily that we have to provide services for and keep our roads in good shape. Approximately 7.4 billion will be provided for Region 1 through the 6 years program. The distribution of those total of 7 billions will be each year closer to about 1 billion or last year we were about 1.3 billion actually. So this year in fiscal year 25, which started in July 1st, 24 to ends June 30th of 25. The distribution of 1.985 billion between state and local state shares is 1 billion for the state and 930 million for the locals. Region 1 anticipates this 1 billion to be, we already awarded most of them. We only have a couple of lettings left, which is March and April and June. June actually for the next fiscal year. And out of that 1 billion, we have about 300 millions of resurfacing projects that was added to the 200 already included in the program. So we have about a total of 300 million that adds up to our 1.1 billion this year. We do have some upcoming constructions from our phase 1 and phase 2. The biggest one is I-55. This is the one from Wolf Road to Chinatown feeder. We broke this contract is about 175 mil so far, and it's growing, by the way. We broke this contract into 4 contracts. The first contract for both bounds from Wolf to 50, and then the interchange of 50 at I-55, and then 2 other contracts, inbound and outbound from 50 to Chinatown feeder, outbound to 50. So that totals our 4 contracts. And we do have a DCM, which is a design corridor manager, that oversees this in phase 2. The second project we have is 55 at Illinois 43, and also along 43 from 47th Street to 53rd, and Illinois 43 at Sanitary Ship Canal. This is a bridge replacement, bridge superstructure, rehab, and drainage, new storm sewers, design overlay, retaining walls, As part of this project, the department is partnering with MWRD and Forest View by upsizing a large sewer at a cost of over $3 million. The proposed sewer runs from the viaduct up north of the map to the sanitary ship canal to further reduce regional flooding in the Forest View area of the viaduct. The other project is Illinois 43, that's from 63rd Street to 65th Street and at BRC Railroad. This one is a railroad grade separation intersection. This project also, it has an overpass, of course, the roadway overpass carrying 65th Street over the BRC Railroad and joining with the raised intersection at Illinois 43 and 65th Street. Drainage improvements on this project includes 72-inch sewer, outfall sewer from 63rd Street to the Archer Avenue. That's by Archer Road intersection detention basin, correct? A distance of approximately 1.5 miles. So this outfall sewer is designed with extra capacity to allow MWRD to connect in the future some sewer separation projects to the proposed outfall. In addition to the 72-inch outfall, a new sewer is being proposed from Harlem at 65th Street that will run north to Archer Avenue and create a new outfall. The department is coordinating with the Summit and MWRD on regional needs for this. This is estimated about $35 million. Another project in programming is Illinois 171, southbound 255 westbound, over the Des Plaines River. This is a bridge deck overlay and some joint repairs. This is estimated about $5.5 million, and this is the target letting is in the letter MYP. Letter MYP means the last 2 years of the fiscal year of 25-30. Another project is Illinois 171 at Juliet Road and BN Railroad spur. So this is a bridge deck overlay, bridge joint replacement and repairs. This is estimated at $1.774 million, and target letting is early years of the MYP. This means next year or the second year after, 26, 27. Illinois 171, Archer Avenue at IHP, south of 59th Street. This is a bridge deck overlay, bridge joint replacement, repairs, and it has also some coordination with the railroad for railroad flaggers, estimated at $1.15 million, and the letting is in next month, March 25. We got some ongoing construction that you're all familiar with, and I'm going to go over a few of them here. The project is going to be the East Avenue at 47th Street, and from 47th Street to west of 55th. This is a standard overlay. This means milling or resurfacing, traffic signal installations, lighting, and some drainage work. This project is currently 15% complete with an overlay, with an overall completion date of late 4/26, end of next year. Another one is 55th Street from US 122045, which is LaGrange Road, to East Avenue at LaGrange Road. So this is a standard overlay, widening, intersection improvements, traffic signals, modernization. This project is scheduled to start fall 25 in coordination with the East Avenue project, with a completion date of late summer 27. 79th Street, westbound connector. This is Archer to Illinois 50. This project is being awarded already and led, of course, and it's about 9% complete, with work scheduled to resume in spring 25, coming up to start with completion date of late this fall. Another one is US 34 at IHB Railroad, east of Tilden Avenue. This is a bridge deck overlay, bridge joint replacement, repairs, railroad coordination, of course. And this was awarded for $1.945 million, and the levy was last month. I'm sorry, this hasn't been awarded, but it was late last month. Usually awarding time is about 6 weeks max. So this bridge repair project consists of joint repairs, and hopefully the project is scheduled to start for 25 in coordination with the East Avenue project, with a completion date of spring 26. And Illinois 43, Harlem Avenue, 78th Street to 19th Street. This is a traffic signal modernization, some traffic signal replacement, of course, corridor improvement. This project currently is at 5% complete, and with work scheduled to resume in spring 25, with a completion date of fall 25. 55th Street, it's east of I-294 to west of Plainfield Road. The project consists of hot mix asphalt lining and resurfacing, traffic signal replacement, and shared use path installation, sidewalk, ADA curb ramps improvement, curb and gutter removal and replacement, guardrail, and culvert extension, drainage improvements, pavement marking, of course. The project is currently 40% complete, with a completion date of fall 25. I think this would wrap up our projects currently in the township. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Wisdom. Certainly a lot of projects going on throughout the township, administered by IDOT, which we appreciate. I know many of you know about the 55th Street project through McCook, as well as the East Avenue project through Hopkins and Countryside. Was brutal while it was going on, but certainly it's nice when it's done and it's worth the wait, so we appreciate that. We have a lot of engineers in the room today. I know there's engineers representing different municipalities and forms of government. I know we have the principal from Hancock, Derek's here with us today, as many others. We have Tom Branstad from Novotny Engineering. We also have Angel Hernandez. They represent us at the township level. We take on different projects, mainly in the unincorporated areas to relieve flooding. We've done some successful projects. We have some projects on the horizon. I'm going to turn it over to these gentlemen to speak.
Good afternoon, everyone. This afternoon, we're going to give a brief presentation of several stormwater projects that are currently underway within the township and their communities. My name is Angel Hernandez, and along with Thomas Branstad, we are the township engineers, Novotny Engineering. Next. Okay. So up on the screen, these are all the township communities. Today we're going to focus on the ones we represent, them being the village of Bedford Park, the village of Ridgeview, the city of Countryside, the village of Hopkins, the village of Lyons, the village of McCook, the village of Summit, the village of Blue Springs, and of course the unincorporated areas within the township. So starting out with the township. So this is the Acacia Acre project. In 2021, MWB published a local drainage feasibility study which identified the Acacia Acres community to be prone to flooding. In that same study, they identified several areas that could use improvements to release some of the flooding. These improvements were on John Court, Linden Lane, 62nd Street, 63rd Street, and Willow Springs Road, as well as identified a new stormwater detention basin, about 1 acre-foot, within the community. This project has been substantially complete and is scheduled to be completely finished in the spring 2025. For this project, MWRD has contributed about $1,052,855. Every year for the past few years, the township has done drainage improvements along the unincorporated areas of the township. How it kind of works, the township highway department identifies areas that experience flooding within the township and performs roadside stormwater improvements. Over the last few years, these improvements include 55th Place, 58th Street, 59th Street, 62nd Street, and 63rd Street. Some of the improvements along also complement the Acacia Acre project. Next. And this year, the township has again partnered with MWRD, and where we identified 6 properties that are prone to flooding. 3 of these properties were selected for potential buyout and demolition. So once the properties are demolished, they will be graded to provide additional stormwater storage for areas upstream of this property. Now moving on to the City of Countryside. But City of Countryside, this is the East Avenue improvements performed by IDOT. This project also included improvements along 55th Street. As part of the project, IDOT partnered with MWRD to design and install a 60-inch RCP stormwater collection system to improve drainage along the corridor and the areas along the corridor. The construction of this project is currently complete and is in close-out projects by IDOT. Next is the 55th Street improvements by IDOT, again in partnership with MWRD. The IDOT is adding to that 60-inch stormwater conveyance system, which will improve the drainage along the rest of 55th Avenue up to Plainfield Road. This project is deemed to start construction summer of 2025. And as part of the local drainage feasibility study published by MWRD in 2021, they identified the areas between Kensington Avenue and Madison Avenue, as well as the 6th Avenue depression area to be prone to flooding. They identified some improvements which the City of Countryside implemented. These improvements will also be further improved by the drainage that is being proposed by IDOT and MWRD on 55th Street. For the rest of the community, someone Bradford from our office will follow.
Thanks, Angel. A couple other projects that we've been involved with in the Village of Lyons, next slide, please. This was a partnership with MWRD, reconstruction of 5 alleys using green infrastructure, primarily permeable pavers. This project provided additional storage and took some relief out the combined sewer system for the Village of Lyons. MWRD contributed almost $700,000 towards this project. Next project that's coming up for the spring of 2025 is located in the Village of Willow Springs. And this involves the reconstruction of the Village Town Center using green infrastructure, primarily permeable pavers for the new pavement. MWRD has committed over $1 million towards this project, and the goal is to provide some relief to the storm sewer system in the area. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, next, we have the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, who are well represented here today. We have their senior engineers who are here. I think they're going to speak. We have the Executive Director, Brian, with us. We have one of their newest commissioners that was recently appointed by the governor to her position, Beth Kirkwood, everyone. And we also have our vice president here with us today, Teresa Flynn. I know the congressman made it clear that we can't count on federal funds, so we're looking to MWRD to fill in the gap. All right, Teresa, it's all yours.
No pressure. I'll take it down here, otherwise I can have a Mary Catherine Gallagher moment trying to get out of my seat. Thank you for having me. Thank you to Township Supervisor Getty, Clerk Koffenberg, and Assessor Hines, Highway Commissioner Mayor McDermott, and Congressman Casten for inviting us here today. As the Mayor mentioned, Beth is our newest member on the board, but we brought the bus driver of the agency, Brian Perkovich, our Executive Director, and the brains of the outfit, Dr. Catherine O'Connor, Kevin Fitzpatrick, and Joe Kratzer, our engineers. So I'm so pleased to be standing with them. And I'd also like to recognize we have a former MWRD member, Dan Pogorzelski, in the room, who loves all things water too. He's at the back of the room. Thank you, Dan, for joining us today. It was about this time last year where we gathered together to talk about where we've been, where we're at, and where we're going. So a little deja vu. And as you hear from our engineers, progress has been made, but more work to come. The rain's going to rain, the snow's going to melt, and we need to do a little more work to protect our environment. But it begins with your participation here today. I appreciate everyone here in Lyons Township expressing your interest in the work that we do, your support and collaboration, and most importantly, your willingness to invest. Too often, these critical stormwater challenges are overlooked until it's too late, and we are again cleaning up flooding another storm or another flood. So I believe here at the Water Reclamation District, we are forecasting for tomorrow. And just a few fun facts for your trivia night for MWRD. The MWRD, our mission statement is that we treat wastewater and manage stormwater. We own and operate 7 water reclamation plants. We have 560 miles of intercepting sewers, 23 pumping stations, 34 stormwater detention reservoirs, 110 miles of deep tunnel, and 3 huge combined sewer reservoirs that are part of our tunnel and reservoir plan, TARP. And I would like to state that the McCook TARP is on time and on budget, which is really rare to say for a government agency, so I'll say it again, on time and on budget. Thank you, everybody. We also control 76 miles of navigable waterways and own and operate the Lockport Powerhouse to help control elevations of waterways to reduce flooding in those areas and also collect renewable hydroelectricity. On any average day, we treat 1.2 billion gallons of water, transforming wastewater sent to us from more than 5 million Cook County residents, and return it as clean water from our 7 water reclamation plants, including our Stickney plant that services Lyons Township. Stickney plant is able to manage 1.4 billion gallons of water in a day. This is a daunting task, and when you factor in a changing climate with heavy, intense rainfalls, especially like we saw in the summer of 2023, right, Commissioner Aguilar? He was there during that whole emergency. More impervious pavements, aging infrastructure, emerging contaminants, excessive nutrients, and new unfunded regulations, it becomes yet another challenge for us. And we have been safeguarding the water environment for over 136 years at the Water Rec, or almost 136 years here at the Water Rec. But it was only in 2014 when the Illinois General Assembly granted us the authority to work on local projects. And since that time, the MWRD has completed or launched 261 stormwater management projects in Cook County. These projects represent a total construction investment of $850 million, with the MWRD contributing $537 million to directly benefit local communities. And that would include the savings of nearly 19,000 homes, businesses, and buildings, very important. And these projects range in size and impact, from local stormwater management partnerships like the Acacia Acres Flood Relief Project we saw on Willow Springs Road, where we supported a detention facility and a storm sewer conveyance system, along with various ditch and culvert improvements. And we also were able to see the fruits of green infrastructure improvements in Countryside, where Mayor McDermott brought me out to see the permeable paving lot that they have out there to reduce the amount of runoff entering our local sewer systems. So thank you, Mayor McDermott, for that. We also have a great program, which we talked about briefly regarding the Lyons project on flood-prone property acquisition, where we are helping homeowners along Salt Creek through the voluntary purchase of flood-prone properties that are prone to flooding. A big thank you to Mr. Sheehan from Town of Lyons that actually brought me out to the site to see it in action. So in total, we have more than 20 projects in the township protecting over 700 structures in a total investment for nearly $40 million. As you'll hear from our engineers, MWRD is very busy advancing critical stormwater improvements to benefit all of our constituents, not just Lyons Township. But we also like to thank Congressman Casten, Cook County, Lyons Township, and all the local communities for your continued partnership. So I really appreciate it. I'm really proud to be on the board. I think these are people that love what they do every day and all day. So thank you for having us. And I will turn it over to our engineers. But also a big congratulations to LT basketball team for beating Hinsdale last night. So it's easy to celebrate the victor when I'm in their house. So congrats to all.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joe Krotzer with the MWRD. I'm an engineer in the stormwater management section, and I'm just going to kind of run through a few projects and give you a little bit of overview. Try not to repeat any information you already heard about. So I'm going to start just with a slide showing kind of how busy we have been in Lyons Township. You heard about these numbers already, but you know, we're very proud to be able to leverage both kind of local efforts and state and county funding, as well as federal funding for many projects that we're doing. So we have, as was mentioned, tens of millions of dollars of investment leveraging those partnerships to accomplish all these projects. So next slide. So just go over a few examples. Again, some might be a little repetitive, but the first one is the Lyons and McCook levee improvements. There have been, if you guys have been down in that area, McCook and Forest View, improvements already started and some completed along the northern portion of the levee and some on the southern portion of the McCook levee. Those are done by the Army Corps. We were asked to kind of help out with this middle section here just south of 47th Street, and we're working to finalize a couple agreements with the railroads right now. We'll be putting this project out to bid in the next couple months. This is a project actually, I wanted to mention, on that last project and several others, we did leverage some ARPA funding through our subrecipient agreement with Cook County, so that was one of them. The next one is Acacia Acres. You already heard about this one. Not really much more I could say, although this was another project where we were able to leverage some ARPA funds for that. The next one is one of our flood-prone property acquisition projects. You can see South Creek here in the background in that neighborhood in blue. That is all floodplain area. There's a couple dozen homes in that area that are subject to repetitive loss flooding, and we've partnered with the Village of Lyons, targeting 26 properties, and so far we've acquired 6 of those, with more to come. Next slide. This is a picture of a completed City Hall project in Countryside. We've done an awful lot of these projects throughout the suburban communities. These green infrastructure projects are a great way for kind of capturing the rainfall where it lands, keeping it out of the sewer systems, taking that load off those already strained sewers, and you get a beautiful end product out of it along the way. So, like I said, this was already completed with the MWRD partnering with the City of Countryside. Next up is one of our called conceptual projects, and I'll explain that on the next slide. But we have been partnering with IDOT and Cook County. This one, we were looking at improvements along Archer Avenue, in Bedford Park Justice and Summit, and on Harlem. So we'll be designing new storm sewers and a new outfall to the sanitary ship canal. That'll take a load off the local combined sewers in that area. And then we're looking to upsize a sewer in Harlem that, in partnership with IDOT, and also constructing a new detention basin in Summit, working with the Village of Summit and their Park District to accommodate that sewer upsizing. Next up, so I just want to give you kind of an overview of all of our stormwater partnerships. our stormwater partnership programs. We've got, you've seen some examples of these projects, but we've got our stormwater partnership program, which really looks to the communities to find out what projects do you already have that you're working towards implementing, and can we help kind of bring those across the finish line and get those constructed. We've partnered with several communities out here and across the county to successfully implement kind of traditional stormwater management projects, storm sewers, detention, pump stations, that kind of thing. Our green infrastructure program, you saw some examples of that already. In Countryside, we've done green alleys, green parking lots, more kind of nature-based green designs all across the county, and that's a great program. Our flood-prone property acquisition program, this is targeting flood-prone areas in the regulatory floodplain. And then last up is our conceptual program. The main idea behind the conceptual program is to help communities, other agencies that may not have the resources to address a flooding problem or even identify what the solution could look like, and then help advance those, analyzing different alternatives, and then bringing those concepts to like a design phase, and then working to get those built. I did want to mention we did have applications out at the end of 24, bleeding into January. All the applications are basically, the application period closed at the end of January for everything. We're still collecting final applications from some where they submitted pre-apps. And then as soon as we get those, kind of digest those and put forth recommendations to our board for projects from these, then we'll reopen the programs back up for applications, so that should be happening later this spring. And we're always trying to think outside the box too a little bit. How can we, get projects in communities that might not be necessarily thinking about green infrastructure or even stormwater improvements with all the priorities that you guys have to juggle. We know it's important, but everybody has priorities. So, we've looked at a pilot program for suburban green schoolyards. We've had a relationship with Chicago Public Schools in the city to do green schoolyard projects over the last several years. And we're looking at a pilot program in the suburbs. We've identified 4 pilot locations. One of them is in the township here in the Village of Summit. We can, basically use all that open space they have, install green infrastructure, and again, take that load off the system to collect that water kind of where it lands. So this is just one of the examples. We have one project that's one of the pilot projects that's slated to go out for construction this year, and we're hoping Summit and the other pilots will be in the ensuing years. So before I turn it over to my colleague talking about TARP really quick, I just wanted to mention that we are working, we know we've partnered with many of the municipalities and township itself and other agencies here. We are working very hard to streamline a lot of our processes. I hope that you guys will consider us if you're thinking about doing a project and look for our applications. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you. I'll turn it over to
Okay, thanks. I know it's been a lot of information over the last hour or so. I'll be quick. Want to thank you guys for putting this on. This is a great event every year, and we appreciate the opportunity to speak out here. I'm going to give a brief update on our TARP project, which is really our flagship stormwater project at FWD that's been going on for decades. So TARP is a tunnel and reservoir plan, and it's deep tunnel systems to capture the pollution that was previously being caused by combined sewer overflows, where when it rained every time, the storm sewer would just get overwhelmed, and it would mix with the domestic sewage from people's homes, and there was no capacity at our treatment plants to handle this water during a storm, so overflows would occur. Really, about 100 days per year, we would have raw sewage going into one of the waterways around the Chicagoland area. So the deep tunnel plan was conceived to capture that water before it made it out to the waterway in a deep tunnel, which was basically following all our waterways. It's like another river underground, following the waterways, and it would lead out to a reservoir. Next slide, please. So the tunnels were completed in 2006, and we've been working on the reservoirs since. We have 3 major reservoirs, and the reservoirs are where we store the bulk of the water. The McCook Reservoir is the one that serves this area of Lyons Township, and it is the final remaining piece in the puzzle. We completed stage 1 of the McCook Reservoir in 2017 and brought 3.5 billion gallons of storage for this combined sewer overflow online. And we are currently working on stage 2 to expand this reservoir from 3.5 billion gallons to 10 billion gallons in capacity. We're all set to go. As soon as that thing can get mined out, we will put it online, and it will really help to capture more of that combined sewage overflow. So what will that mean for Lyons Township? Portions of the township, the older portions, have combined sewer systems where the stormwater is mixed with the domestic sewage. Those portions will get better protection from things like basement backups when stage 2 comes online. So we are excited to get that online. Unfortunately, we're at the mercy of how quickly that hole can be mined, which is being done by one of our local quarry operators, Vulcan, and all the stone there is sold out of their Vulcan quarry. So hopefully our friends at IDOT and Cook County use a lot of that stone quickly, so we can get it mined up faster. I think that's all I have. Thank you very much.
All right, that is all for our presenters today, so we'll now open it up to questions. Thank you very much to our presenters. Appreciate all your time and input. Commissioner Aguilar, yes, sir.
Thank you, Representative Getty. Congressman, thank you for coming and all the work you do in Washington. I know you got your hands full. But, we received $696 million. Oh, thank you. Cicero received $96 million, Cook County received $200 million, and Chicago $400 million for the recovery of the flood a couple years ago. The big issue now is federal money that's keeping an eye on. So I know that we're a target, that's obvious, he made that known, Chicago. Is there a risk or possibility of rescinding that money, that grant, that money that we received, or any of the future grants that we can apply for infrastructure? My big thing is funding, that since first took office, it's a big topic. But again, risk, is there something we should maybe worry about at the federal level?
So, these are such unpredictable times. I mean, let's just start like legally.
Yes.
You've got a contract with the federal government, there has been distribution of money, you've honored all the terms of the agreement, there is no legal recourse to that money, right, as a practical matter. You sign a new contract with the federal government, there's a cost share, you've met all the terms of that, there's no legal recourse to that money. On a going forward basis, we of course have, we will continue to have, reauthorizations of, infrastructure programs, surface transportation, all these programs that are going through, which are all still going to require votes in the Senate to get through and votes in the House to get through. And if you're steering money away from certain states, presumably you also lose the support of those states. So I have no reason to believe that any of those programs are at risk on the presumption that we're going to continue to follow the law.
Okay. Yeah, I've gone to every HUD meeting and FEMA meeting and religiously.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a water-related issue, but Bedford Park, it was proud of like some law that's just collecting $56 million for an electric vehicle charging infrastructure. That program has now, I'm heard, has been tagged with something that's too woke, and they're going to take it back. That's not legal, right? Speaking as a member of Congress, there are many laws that have been passed that I did not vote for, that would not support, but I'm still bound by them.
Thank you.
And so I think we just have to make sure, like, where these, as I said in my opening remarks, where these comes up, like, defend your rights in the courts, let us know how we can help. And I'm sorry that we didn't have to have that conversation.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So Congressman Casten, last year we were speaking, I think it was when we were at this meeting, I know the FEMA flood relief program and insurance program was up for renewal. Did they get passed through Congress before all this happened? Is flood insurance back in place?
No, it's still limping along. The proposal that we keep pushing, which we continue to push, is to shift to a buyout in lieu of claims, because the program itself is, and I think you and I just spoke about this before, before I was even sworn into Congress, all of us as freshmen back in 2019 were brought to this thing at Harvard where they bring experts and say, here are the big problems that you're going to have to grapple with during your time in Congress, and a whole program on the NFIP. And the specific description, which always stuck with me, was they said insurance works for things that are unpredictable, rare, and expensive. Flooding is only one of those three. Right? And so the model for insurance is really there. So we'll continue to push for this program to shift to a buyout in lieu of claims, that if you're in a repetitive loss property and it's cheaper to relocate, you're given money to relocate, and then that spot is permanently taken out. We've seen that work in some other places. There's a larger group of people, and interestingly, the California wildfires is sort of changing some of the calculus of this, that we treat fire claims as something that the taxpayers pay for and is not expected to be solvent. We treat flood claims as something the insurance pays for and is expected to be solvent. They're all fundamentally the same basic risk, and ultimately the same question of, is the taxpayer going to pay for this? And just as an example of how it's becoming, some of the sort of traditional partisanship is evolving on this. I was recently with Jay Obernolte, Republican from California, who was making the case that just as we do not allow health insurance companies to charge a premium for pre-existing conditions, we shouldn't allow home insurance companies to charge a premium for a home in a wildfire zone. And that's an interesting conversation, given how hard we fought to get Republican support for pre-existing conditions protections in the health care program. But it is one of these things where those risks affect everybody, and I would hope we can get back to a more normal time where we say, okay, how do we structure this in a way to get through? And in my grand formulation, we really have a conversation that's bigger than just the NFIP, but brings a broader FEMA conversation to play as well. But as of right now, no, that's my knowledge.
I've got a question for Cook County. I know you guys highlighted the first project you guys talked extensively about was the Plainfield Road project from East Avenue to County Line Road. You guys went all the way to County Line. That road currently doesn't have gutters, so you guys are adding curb and gutter. I know the road is currently crowned. Is that going to be lowered? Is there going to be new sewers put in? What's that going to look like?
A combination of both. So in certain areas, in order to utilize underground storage in terms of storm sewers, profile adjustments will have to be made, along with widening that we're doing at the intersections. We're trying to balance all needs in terms of property acquisition, impact to properties, trees, as well as being able to accommodate drainage along the corridor, new sewers.
Mr.
We've
Carr.
already talked about dumping their water in the McCook ditch. Who actually owns the McCook ditch?
Does Cook County know who owns the McCook ditch in McCook? I would say McCook, but go ahead.
Yes, before I answer that, just want to say I forgot to thank the congressman as well. So thank you for all your support at the federal level of funding that we talked about, and for the challenges ahead. So thank you. I don't really have an answer to that. I'm not sure if anybody already knows. Down to you guys, but the McCook ditch is that.
So you guys had highlighted in your presentation that the water on Plainfield Road, east of Willow Springs Road, drains into the McCook ditch. And where exactly is the McCook ditch, Mayor?
It depends which one they're going into. So there's two of them. One's right off of 47th Street, which the 47th Street project's going in. And then the other one's off of 55th Street and East Avenue, where they just finished all that corridor work over there.
So this would be 55th Street. So it drains, our project will drain primarily into the storm sewer that was talked about being constructed along 55th Street by IDOT, that MWRD and Cook County is participating in the upsized increased storage capacity there. That water continues east on 55th into the Cook ditch. So that is an existing outlet for that area, and that is going to continue to be used. But we are providing detention to mitigate increases in stormwater runoff from our project.
I think your concern is that all this water drains into this ditch and you guys as a municipality maintain and operate the ditch, correct?
We don't maintain it or operate it, nobody knows who owns it.
Nobody
We're trying
knows,
to
okay.
figure out, because it needs to be maintained.
It needs to be maintained, okay.
Yeah, don't know if it's on private property. Larger waterways, and maybe the district can chime in on this, but larger waterways are, sometimes owned by MWRD, right? There's certain waterways that are on your guys' jurisdiction, but when you're talking about smaller waterways, those a lot of times are located on private property, actually. So I'm
We
not
own it,
sure.
we put a fee on it with the water, right, so then we maintain it. I like that idea. That's-
Toll fee? So, maybe a conversation with MWRD after this, I'm not sure, but yeah. Yes, sir.
One last question for MWRD. The TARP project, is 2029 still the scheduled date for the next phase to be completed?
Tark?
2029 is currently the schedule in federal consent decree that we have with the EPA. The mining company has been recently notified us that their business has been down and they're not moving as much stone as they had anticipated, and that the mining is likely to be delayed. We're still waiting for them to send us a new schedule if they have one, so we don't have an official new date, but 2029 looks like it may be in jeopardy.
So follow that, since it's running under a federal consent decree with the EPA, does that mean the EPA takes it over and runs it as their project after 2029? What happens to MWRD at that point?
No, they would not take it over, but we would negotiate with them implications, because it was not able to be met.
Is that mining contract with Hanson or Boulder?
Vulcan. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, thanks. Beth Augustine, Village of the Range trustee. Related to what Trustee Thompson was just saying, when that reservoir, McCook Reservoir is complete, let's say it's 2029, serves a lot of communities, all of our communities. What type of impact do you see it making when we have these big floods where normally the homes back up with combined sewage? Do we see it being measurable at all, or is it just lightly distributed? In other words, will it impact half of the major floods? And then the second part of my question is for IDOT. Is the thought with laying in the larger pipes to convey the roadway water runoff, is the thought that that will not only improve the roads themselves when they're wet, drain things quicker, will it also greatly impact the neighborhoods that are adjacent to those roadways and the communities at large?
To address the first part, so the impact when we operate stage 2 will be to reduce the amount of, first of all, reduce the amount of overflows we have that pollute the waterways, because currently with stage 1 online, so far, any time, it's usually about 2 to 5 times per year we have filled up. And during those circumstances, the combined sewage goes back to overflowing into the sanitary and ship canal and other waterways. In addition, it could back up sewer systems and start to flood basements. So, for example, in 2023, when we had those July 4th storms, we'll call it, in Cicero, the reservoir was still available. In that case, sewers just couldn't get it to the deep tunnel fast enough. So that's going to still occur even after stage 2 comes online. There will be locations, I don't know if the Grange is one of them, where the sewer system, the local sewer system, simply isn't big enough to get the flow to us, and improvements will need to be made to fully take advantage of the deep tunnel system.
Isn't there a restrictor at some point that was put in? Was that between LaGrange and the McCook?
So, yeah, so the Grange has in one location, they have a restrictor restricting flow from their storm sewer going to the TARP system. And the requirement for them to connect to the TARP system was to leave that restrictor in place until the project is completed.
The TARP?
So the TARP project.
Okay.
So that's affecting their storm sewer system, and currently that could lead to
backups during extreme storms of the storm system itself, should lead to basement backups.
But removing that restrictor alone should cause some relief for
That
it.
should, yes, yes.
That will, but LaGrange put the MARS program, the 811 program that has that restrictor that you were referring to, Supervisor Getty. We put a restrictor on that in 2014 and paused the project because of the communication from NWRD that the reservoir wouldn't be ready for well. So hopefully we'll resume that project and be able to get more flow out of our depressed areas of our town. But for now, we haven't restarted that project because of cautions and funding and things of that nature. Thicker bedrock as we sort of to dig westward, but we're hopeful that we'll be able to connect to that in 2029. See at least an improvement in the section that's been completed, but we've got another mile to go.
And you had a second part to your question. Was that IDOT?
Yes.
The answer is yes. It's going to help the locals, storm sewer, and even draining into our land. So that should be great.
Other questions burning on your mind about flood-prone properties? All right. On my agenda, we didn't have closing remarks. Clerk Hoffenberg did an excellent job at setting up this luncheon, so I want to thank her and her staff very much for a great job on that. An event wouldn't be possible without the commitment by these agencies that handle this on a daily basis, as well as the support from the Congressman, his staff. I want to thank all the different area municipalities that have come out, as well as your staffing that are here. I appreciate the conversation. Myself, as well as the township staff, and I assume all the other staffs of the presenters here are available for questions and discussion afterwards. We still have more food, so please make yourselves at home. Police, anything else? That's it? Okay, thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.